Hey guys, just before we get into the tier list video, if you're part of the 54% of people that watch these videos and aren't subscribed, do yourself a favour, hit that subscribe button. I put a TCG video out every single day. Let's get into the fun stuff. Guys, to the Slowpoke, well, and look who we're joined. Oh, actually, I say look who we're joined, but actually can't see who we're joined by. But we've got Joe and Jack from Omnipoke. How are you, my friends?
Good.
Yeah,
Getting a bit bored with not being able to do anything, but that means more Pokemon thinking.
This is very true, very true. And Joe, how are we?
Yeah, I'm good as well. Getting ready for the Rebel Clash stuff now. It's on the doorstep, so.
This is very true. I think as of recording, it comes out next week on TCG, I believe. So that's why I've got these fine gentlemen to sit down with little old me, and we're going to do a little Rebel Clash tier list. We're going to get all these decks. Look at all these decks. Oh my lord, it took me ages to get these little graphics made up as well, guys. So, and we're going to rank these so we can all know ahead of our Limitless event and just our PTTCO ladder crawling whereabouts are the decks we want to play sit. So we're going to get it started straight up here with a nice big juicy one. So Jack, you asked me to put this one in there because I forgot it like an EJAT. But if I had to ask you where you'd be ranking Malamar Dragapult, where would you put it?
Okay, straight off the gate with the new decks.
Yeah!
You've got four different Dragapult lists, and I think the Malamar list is my favourite.
Okay.
I think it's not going to be as inconsistent as Malamar, even though you're running multiple sort of stage ones, because you can just completely rely on the VMAX strat. The Malamars are a real sort of back foot in trying to set up your Dragapults sort of in the mid to late game. Early game, you really don't need a lot of setup, whereas Malamar is a pretty much setup-centric deck in the spell tag sort of build. So I actually think it's really, really strong. I think it's easily the strongest attacker in the new set. I'd probably put it at least at 1, maybe even S tier. I think it's super strong. It has a lot of flexibility in damage spread and control. It's super tanky. And Psychic in general has so many different options with Tina, with Blacephalon, with all of these different options, Esper, all of this different stuff. I think it probably is the front-running Malamar variant, and honestly, potentially one of the best decks going into the next format. I think it's just got a lot of answers to everything, and I think it will probably shape the format somewhat, causing more healing to have to go into decks, maybe more.
Yeah.
Things like Sky Pillar and stuff maybe more considered again. Just things like that. I think it is I think it paves the way for a real new format rather than just doing 260 to your opponent's activization. I think we could see a lot more spreading and taking multiple knockouts in a turn because of this card, basically. So yeah, I'd put it in probably S or 1 at least.
So Joe, we've just heard Jack talk about why he thinks Malamar Dragapult is tier 1, tier S. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think I echo Jack's sentiment in that Dragapult is just one of the best attackers in Rebel Clash for sure.
Yep.
Malamar's a decent backup for it. It gives you some good coverage against energy disruption if it's just like a tech in certain decks, because energy disruption, as we've seen from like mill players, is a good way around ADP at times. So if it's good against that and straight Dragapult, then having the Malamar to offset it is very nice. Also having some one prize options, like Jack said, the Giratina, the Esper, the Blacephalon, that really helps out against the Baby Blounds matchup, where you have an alternate route of just going one prize against them as well. So I think Malamar, alongside the straight Dragapult, are my two personal favorites. I do still have a bit of a issue with the consistency, because you do put a lot of cards in your list, even with like just that 2-2 or so Malamar line, and then like 3 or 4 one prize techs. That still ends up being a lot of spaces, but I do definitely think it's a solid way of playing the deck.
Yeah, that's also echo that. I think Dragapult is so inherently strong. Like you said, Jack, we've got like 3 or 4 variants here, and all of them are going to be at least tier 2 or up, in my opinion. But I don't know, I just think it's so efficient with a 2 energy attack, where I don't know if the Malamar is strictly necessary. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you attack for 2 anyway. But then in that scenario, if we are playing Malamar, Jack, are you throwing in your sort of go-to Malamar stuff like an Esper? What sort of stuff are you putting in your Dragapult Malamar list?
I think, like Joe said, I think you don't necessarily have the space to go too techie with it, so it's probably going to be a format-based like format-based decisions, but
Yep.
probably like Baby Blown is just such a strong card when you're kind of forcing a 3-prizer up anyway.
Yeah.
I think Baby Blown is probably the only one that I would have staple, just because I think it's so strong against controlling stuff as well. But yeah, I think it's probably going to be pretty format dependent, and there's probably
Guys, we have a few technical difficulties over here. I'm not even going to try and lie to you. I'm not even going to try and jazz it up nicely in there it is. So, we did catch what Jack was thinking about Dragapult, Malamar. So what would you say there, Jack? We'll go over a little tiny bit. So you said Baby Clowns. I know that was what you definitely said. Anything else?
Baby Clowns definitely. I think Tina is actually one of the weaker ones, just because you don't reliably get Malamars out as consistently as when you're playing a 4-4. So Tina's probably the weakest. I think Baby Blacephalon and Esper are just the two best ones because they synergize so well. There's no point in leading into anything else. I just think you want to take Dragapult's best attributes and try and push on them. So yeah, Baby Clown and Esper would probably be the two I'd play.
Yeah, that seems fair. So, if we're gonna sort of, well, let's actually throw him in the tier list then, shall we, boys? So, I think we're all in agreement. It's definitely going to be at least tier 1.5, right? It can't be lower than tier 1.5, surely.
For sure.
Yeah, well, I think I'm gonna put him in 1. I'm not 100% convinced it will be the best way to play Dragapult, but like we said, sort of getting on to what Joe was saying, it's so inherently strong. Like, you're gonna win games regardless of where Malamar comes out sometimes. You know what I mean? So I think in that aspect, it's gonna be tier 1. Let's stay in the Dragapult sort of realm now. With the sort of Roxy Dragapult. Joe, what are your thoughts on the sort of more Roxy-based Dragapult?
I think it's very interesting. I like the aggressive approach in that you're attacking your opponent's board even quicker. I like that because Dragapult himself is so low maintenance, you just want to find an energy turn 1, evolve in an energy turn 2, that getting Roxy on top can really help out. And it also makes like other tech cards even stronger, like potential for Zigzagoon or Giratina with scoop up net combos, stuff like that could be like really awesome as well. So I like the option of Roxy. I don't know if it's going to be consistent enough compared to like straight Pult, but I like the extra damage pressure that you put on. You're threatening Jirachis with no worry of people scoop up netting to remove damage counters. You're threatening Dedenes a lot quicker as well, so you're just naturally putting things into range, which is nice. So yeah, I like the option, and it puts less pressure on Horror Energy actually like popping against tag teams and stuff. So I do like its damage buff quite a lot.
Yeah. Jack, have you got any thoughts on your Roxy Dragapult? Have you ever looked at that one?
I mean, pretty much the same. I haven't looked at too many Roxy-based lists, but in my head it just feels like a hyper-aggressive Dragapult, which sounds really good. It as I said in the Malamar, it's an insane attacker. It's super efficient. It's like super tanky as well. So I just think that added level of aggression, like Joe says, is probably going to be really, really strong for being able to Grinch multiple prizes, multiple like 1 prizes very quickly. It probably means like against some tag team things, you really force them into awkward spots where they can't play down a lot of Jirachis or a lot of Absols or anything like that, because you're able to kill their ADP, and then they've got enough stuff on the board for you to be able to take 3 prizes on little stuff. So the aggression sounds really, really strong.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing I've come to as well. If you want to sort of play the most aggressive like style, if you just want to say, right, you put down Grookey, I'm gonna kill it straight away, then this is gonna be the one for you. Because from the testing I've been playing, like you sort of get it to there, with you sort of tag team deck, you sort of Jirachi based stuff, like you are holding that Jirachi, you're thinking, right, if I put this down, there's a good chance it's gonna die, like straight away. So especially with the Roxy version, like that's what you're trying to gear towards. So I do think though, that all being said, it will be your sort of, dare I say it, the most inconsistent way of playing Dragapult. And with that being said, I think I want to say either 1 or 1.5. What do we think there, Joe? Does that seem fair?
I think 1.5 is probably more fair, just because I'm thinking of when I tried Sable Roxy.
Yep.
And obviously it's slightly different because Sableye has to Roxy or it does nothing, whereas it's not the case with Dragapult. But like, it felt when you're missing the Roxy, you're actually just pretty sad face.
Yeah, that's
so I think there's like, you just accept a slightly lower damage cap and go for straight Dragapult more often than not. But I do like I'll definitely play around with the Roxy build because it just seems very oppressive, to be honest, against certain engines.
Yeah, that's fair.
Definitely.
Right, like I said, we've got a couple more of the Dragapult. Now, here's my baby, okay? Here's the one that I've been putting the most time in. And let me tell you, when you get it set up, now I'm going to preface, you are playing stage 2 now, boys, so you know what I mean? But when you get that Gengar out, oh my lord, you're just laughing at them. Gengar, Dragapult. I'll put a few games into this. And let me tell you the reason why, if you haven't seen the list video, go watch that video. But the reason why I've geared it so much to get that Gengar out, like we're playing a Green's Exploration route, is because once that Gengar comes out, let me tell you, boys, you're laughing. Like, go on then, what are you going to do? Move this damage off, scoop up, see you later. But like I said, with that being said, we are playing a stage 2, and if you want to build your deck around a stage 2, I wouldn't blame you for not wanting to do that. But Jack, have you ever thought about Gengar Dragapult? Is that something that's popped into your head?
It feels like the Exodia build of the Dragapult builds. It feels like, you say, once you get set up, it's pretty insane. Scoop Up Net is another insane card in the set, and you're leaning into 2 really, really good cards then. Gengar has an ability that is less flexible than Reuniclus, but Reuniclus was a pretty strong card when it was around.
Yeah.
And Dragapult is tanky enough to be able to make up for the fact that damage has gone up, because it's actually pretty rare that your Dragapult's going to be getting one-shotted. So
Yeah.
you're leaning into 2 really good cards. Like you say, it's a stage 2, and I think it's probably the least consistent.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
it does feel very, very strong. And again, another hugely beneficial of these VMAX cards is their incredibly high HP, and you can really, really take advantage of that. So I can see it. I don't think it's as consistent as the other builds we've spoken about so far, but I can see it being the, like I say, Exodia build, and the build of people's choice, just because it develops some pretty unwinnable board states in certain situations. So yeah, it's probably not going to be as good as the other 2 for consistency's reasons, but as a power level, provided everything goes your way, it seems really, really strong.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way of putting it there, Jack. Joe, have you thought of any Gengar Dragapult?
I mean, the thoughts come into my mind, and I like the option of, even playing Scoop Up Net for guaranteed on, like, Nala Prism Star for, like, healing 150 or something for free and just dropping it back down. Like, that sounds really cool, but I'm very worried about playing a stage 2 in a meta where Lysander's back. So that would be
fair.
my biggest concern.
No, that's fair. That's completely valid as well. Yeah. I mean, I think, like sort of Jack was alluding to, the power level is just insane. But like I said, it is getting there, and I think, as much as I do love it, and I feel as if it could be a very big pet deck on the channel, I probably don't think it's the best way. But like I said, if you want a high roll though, if you want to say, right, 5 games, at least 3 of these games Gengar's coming out, and then that 4th game I'm just going to try and win a Dragapult alone, if you're willing to take that risk, then yeah, feel free. With that being said though, the tier, this is going to be a hard one, because my heart wants me to put it at 1.5, but the head is saying, Shay, it's a stage 2, and you know how these stage 2s treat you these days. I think I'm probably going to put it in... Oh, can I put it in 2? Joe, where would you put it? Just out of interest.
Lower than 2.
Lower than 2? Well, I ain't put it lower than 2. I ain't doing that. Jack, where would you put it?
I've got it, like, between 2 and 2.5.
2.25, we'll go.
Down 1 tier.
Drop it down 1 tier.
2.5
Well, I've sort of been outvoted here then, lads. 2 people are saying bring it lower, so we're going to have to put it down to 2.5. But let me tell you, that's going to be the strongest 2.5 deck, you know. So we've got Dragapult Goon. So that's going to be like the sort of Yanida, sort of list. How are we feeling about that one, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably... I think I still prefer Malamar a little bit, but it's probably like in between the Roxy build and the Malamar build. It's probably fair putting it in like bottom of 1. Again, you're just leaning into such good cards. It can't be terrible. Seen like another thing is having lists to base around as well is very, very good early on, because it means you have a good starting point rather than just putting 60 together and seeing what happens. So out the gate, it's probably going to be one of the best builds, and I don't see it going anywhere really. It will just come down to preference, I guess.
That seems fair. I think that's the sort of conclusion I was going to come to. Joe, do you remember that?
Yeah, I think out of the gate, it's the most popular for sure. I think actually its existence makes the actual 60 worse because it's teching against itself by sometimes playing Scoop Up Giratina or playing Yell Grunt and Mewtwo and stuff. And you don't want to come up against that when you're playing it yourself. Because you don't have your own acceleration. So in a way, like it's mirror teched, and you don't want this list to be the most popular in a way. So the Malamar list might actually be a reaction to this one being probably the more commonplace list. But I think for having a better ADP matchup and for being the most consistent Dragapult, I would put it in S tier. I think it's the best one.
So you carry on?
Just for consistency right now. But I think the Malamar will ease its way into the format and end up probably being a safer, more well-rounded list eventually.
Yeah, that's the sort of conclusion I was going to come to. I think just because you said it has a semi-better ADP, having those tricks, and even though like we all know the tricks, like we said, I think it's strong in that regard. So I was going to put it in S as well. So I'm glad, Joe, we came to that same conclusion there. Well done, lad. Right.
Hey guys, thanks for watching that video. Much appreciated. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't hesitate to subscribe. I try and put out as much stuff here as I can. Full deck profiles plus games, topic conversational pieces regarding anything in the TCG. Check out my Twitter, check out my Facebook. That's where I get most of the updates, sort of see what's going on behind the scenes, all that good stuff. Also check out the SoundCloud for the full bi-weekly podcast. If you're interested, if you like the conversational pieces, go check that out. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good day.